Hello viewers, welcome to my channel IIT Olympiads and AP Physics with Ambarish. And in today's video, I am going to present to you the solution of INPHO 2020 problem number 4. That's a problem based on Doppler effect. So here's the problem. A sound source S is performing uniform circular motion with time period capital T. It is continuously emitting sound of a fixed frequency F0. Two detectors 1 and 2 are placed somewhere in the same plane as the circular trajectory of the source. The frequency f of the sound received by the two detectors is plotted as a function of time t as shown below. The clocks of the two detectors are synchronized. Take the speed of sound in medium to be 330 meter per second. Part A of the question is determine the time period capital T of the source. So this should be fairly simple. We can see the cycle time from peak to peak. You know that cycle will repeat after the source has moved through a full circle. So we can straight away find the time period of revolution by looking the time between peak to peak. And if you look at these two, let's say for example I consider these two peaks marked red. So here the time is 16 seconds, you can see from the time axis, and here the time is 40 seconds, and you just simply take the difference of the two, so you get the time period of revolution of the source as 24 seconds. So fairly straightforward. This was very easy. And now moving on to the second part, which is a bit tricky. So what's the second part? The figure shows the circular trajectory of the source S. Qualitatively mark the positions of both the detectors by indicating 1 and 2. Here O denotes the center of the trajectory. You must provide the detailed justification of your answer in the detailed answer sheet. So now this was very tricky part. We have to decide whether both detectors are inside the circle or both detectors are outside the circle, or they are on periphery, or one is outside and one is inside. So this is what we need to conclude by logic. So we'll see one by one how we can find out where the detectors are actually located. So now let's look at the graph more carefully, and let's list out some of the observations that will help us in analysis. So what are some of the observations? We can see that peak to peak time for both the detectors, you can see from here to here, or you can check for the other detector too. Peak to peak times, if you calculate, both the peak to peak times are 24 seconds. Okay, that is one. Second is peak to valley time. So peak to valley time is also same for both the detectors. For this one, if you calculate for detector 1, it is, this is 25 seconds and this is 16 seconds. So 25 minus 16 is 9 seconds. For detector 2 also, peak to valley time, if you see, that is maximum frequency to the minimum frequency. That time is also 9 seconds. So it's the same time difference for both the detectors. So now this is some very important information that will help us decide where the detectors are located. So please keep in mind that maximum to minimum frequency time is same for both the detectors, detector 1 as well as detector 2. Alright. Another thing which we can note from the graph is for first detector, that is detector number 1, the maximum frequency is 1300 Hz and the minimum frequency is 800 Hz. Okay, this will also help us solve some of the parts that are coming in this. And another thing we can see that what's the time difference between peak of 1 to peak of 2? That is, first detector detects a maxima, and after some time the second detector detects a maxima. So what is the time difference between the two? This time is 4 seconds. So this is also important information that we'll be using in the upcoming slides. So let's review all this data. So peak to peak time, that's time period revolution 24 seconds. Peak to valley time for both the detectors individually, peak to valley and peak to valley, that is 9 seconds for both the detectors. And maximum frequency is 1300 Hz, minimum frequency 800 Hz, and peak of detector 1 to peak of detector 2, that is maxima to maxima for different detectors, the time difference is 4 seconds. Alright, so keeping that information in mind, let's go ahead and see how we can solve this by analysis. So first we have to locate the detectors, where they are located, whether inside or outside, or one inside and one outside. So let's try to derive by logic. So now let's explore the first possibility. Can both the detectors be outside? Let's say D1 is somewhere over here and D2 is somewhere over here. So when is the observed frequency maximum? Observed frequency is maximum when the approach of the source is head on. So when S is approaching D1 head on, there will be certain reported maximum frequency. But you know that if both detectors are outside, at some point or the other, S will also be approaching head on towards D2, and therefore the maximum frequency recorded by D1 and maximum frequency recorded by D2 will be same if both were outside, because head-on approach will happen at for both the detectors at some time or the other. So maximum as well as minimum recorded frequencies would be same if both the detectors were outside. So that clearly rules out the possibility that both detectors are outside. All right. So this is something that we have deduced, and then let's look at this other possibility. Can any detector be on periphery? So if any detector is on periphery, so when the source is about to approach the detector, there will be high frequency, and suddenly as soon as the source crosses the detector, the frequency will suddenly become low, and then you will not have a smooth graph. It will suddenly there will be discontinuous graph. Suddenly the frequency will be high, and then after crossing the detector, suddenly the frequency will go low. So this type of graph is also not visible, and therefore this possibility is also ruled out, that none of the detectors is on the periphery of the circle. All right. So what's the other possibility? Now let's see, can both the detectors be inside? Now this is very interesting. Please listen to this very carefully. How we rule out this possibility, how we can say that both detectors cannot be inside. Now here we are doing some mathematics, so you need to concentrate to follow this carefully. So let us say Dn, there is some detector, let us say Dn is the location of the detector that is inside the circle, okay? And the distance of this detector is di. From O to Dn, the distance is di, okay? And let R be the radius of this circle, and let us say source is somewhere over here, and such that the line joining the source to the location of detector makes an angle phi I with the velocity vector, okay? So velocity vector and this line are at an angle phi I. So what's the velocity of approach of the source toward the detector? That becomes V cos phi I, okay? So according to the Doppler effect, so this is the source, we need to take the velocity of approach. So this is what we get for the frequency at some general phi. So F inside detector is F naught upon 1 minus V by C cos phi. F naught is the source frequency, okay? And also we can see that the radius is tangent to the velocity vector. So if this is phi I, so this automatically becomes 90 minus phi I, which we are calling as beta I. So cos of phi I is nothing but sine of beta I, okay? So using this information, what we can see now, we can also apply sine rule. You know that let this angle be gamma I, the angle O to Dn with the D in S. This is gamma I. So if you apply sine rule, you can say that sine gamma upon R is same as sine beta upon Di. Or we can say that cos phi I, which was same as sine beta I. So sine, this we can write cos phi I, which is same as sine beta I, that is Di by R into sine of gamma I. Alright. So with that, we can substitute cos phi over here in terms of sine gamma I, and what we get F inside is F naught upon 1 minus V by C di by R sine of gamma I. So this is the detected frequency by an inside detector. And now from this we can infer when this detected frequency will be maximum or minimum. So you know that this term is going to be maximum or minimum when sine gamma is either +1 or -1 accordingly respectively, okay? So if sine gamma is +1 or -1, that means what? Gamma is 90 degree. That means the maximum and minimum position will be when the source is on the chord perpendicular to the line ODN. So those will be the positions corresponding to maximum and minimum detected frequencies. Alright. So when sine gamma is +1 or -1. Now that is this geometry you can see. So Dn is somewhere over here, gamma becomes 90 degrees. So this will correspond to the maximum frequency detection, and this position of the source will correspond to the minimum detected frequency. Alright. And at AI, maximum frequency will be given by simply put sine gamma equal to 1. So you get F in the previous slide expression, we are just putting sine gamma. So maximum frequency F naught upon 1 minus V by C di by R. And minimum frequency is F naught upon 1 plus, instead of minus there will be plus V di by R, and there is a C. And obviously inside detector frequency, this should be less than the outside detector frequency. Why? because for outside detector, head-on approach and head-on receding is always possible. All right, so obviously a detector outside will record a higher frequency than a detector which is inside, because inside there's never going to be a head-on approach or head-on separation. Okay, that's why the inside maximum frequency should be less than the outside maximum frequency, and inside minimum frequency should be greater than outside minimum frequency. This much we can say. All right, now let's consider this. If both detectors are inside, then for equal intervals between peak and valley, both detectors should have same DI. Now what is the time interval between peak and valley? You see that this is the point of maximum frequency detection, and this is the point of minimum frequency detection, and this angle is twice alpha I. So what will be the time lag between peak to valley? Time lag between peak to valley will be nothing but twice alpha I divided by omega. Now for both the detectors, you can see if you recall the graph, for both the detectors the peak to valley time was same, that was 4 seconds. Okay, that means what? For the both the detectors, DI has to be same. Why? Because alpha is just a function of DI, right? Din. So if peak to valley time is same for both the detectors should have same Din. And if the DI, and if the DI is same, that means what? Maximum and minimum frequency will become same for both the detectors, right? So I hope you followed my logic. For 4 seconds, that means alpha I is same for both, and if alpha is same for both, that means DI is same for both. So if both detectors have peak to valley distance, valley time difference 4 seconds, then both have same DI. So I just repeated so that you can comprehend it properly. So if both detectors are inside, both have to be at a distance of DI. But if both are at a distance of DI, then maximum and minimum frequency for both the detectors will be same, and which is not the case. That's why both detectors cannot simultaneously be inside. So the only case that is left out is what? That means the only possibility is that one detector is inside and the other detector is outside, and they may or may not be collinear with the center, because nowhere in our logic we commented on whether they're collinear or non-collinear. But yes, the possibility is that one detector is inside, the other detector is outside. I've not made the figure, but this is trivial. So from based on this fact, we can show one detector inside and other detector outside. Okay, so this was very interesting and tricky part. And then now let's go to the next part. What is that? Obtain the frequency f0 of the source. So this is not very hard to see. So I've shown this figure. Maximum frequency is detected corresponding to the position when the tangent is like this, okay, and source is moving head on towards the outside detector, okay, and minimum correspondingly on the mirror image point over here when the source is receding directly, separating directly from the detector. Okay, so head on approach and head on separation. Okay, and accordingly maximum frequency is f0 upon 1 minus v by c, where v is the velocity of the detector, velocity of the source rather, and c is the velocity of sound. So maximum velocity, you recall from the graph, that was given as 1300 hertz. I showed it by a red dot on the graph. So maximum was 1300 hertz and minimum frequency was 800 hertz. So we have simultaneous equations in f0 and v, and we can solve this system for f0. We are in this part we need to find out f0, but we are also going to find out velocity because that will be needed for the next part. So if you just solve these two simultaneous equations, you get f0 as 991 hertz approximately, and the speed of the source comes out to be 78.6 meter per second. So this is the answer to our part C of the question. All right, then part D. So this was a little mathematical. What we want to find out is calculate the distance capital D between the detectors. So one detector is inside, the other is outside, and we want to find out the straight line distance between the positions of the detectors. Okay, so now speed we found in the last slide. The speed of the source came out to be 78.6 meter per second, and we also know that this speed should be equal to r into omega. And omega, how do we find out? So you recall that the time period of revolution was 24 seconds. So 2 pi radians in 24 seconds gives us omega of 2 pi by 24. So r into 2 pi by 24 should be 78.6. Alright, and if you solve this, then you get the value of radius to be 300 meters. Okay, now we need to look at this diagram carefully for the further analysis. So now I have shown two detectors. One is the outside detector and the other one is the inside location of the detector. Okay. Now this is the position for peak frequency for the outside detector, and this is the position for valley frequency for the outside detector. Okay, maximum frequency and minimum frequency, these are the mirror image points about the line D out and O. Okay, and this angle is alpha naught, and therefore obviously A naught to A prime, this whole arc angle will be twice alpha naught. All right. Similarly for inside detector, this is the point AI is the point where maximum frequency is detected, and AI prime is the point where minimum frequency is detected. Now recall that peak to valley time for both the detectors was 4 seconds. Okay, for both the detectors we saw it on the second slide that peak to valley time was 4 seconds for both. That means what? That means this angle twice alpha naught should be same as twice alpha I, because this is the maximum to minimum time for the inside detector, and this arc is the maximum to minimum time for the outside detector. So these two angles should be equal. All right. So A naught O A naught prime angle and AI O AI prime angle, both these angles should be equal. So that's what I have written over here. So 2 alpha naught, which is double A naught O A naught prime angle, so that is twice alpha naught, that is equal to twice alpha I, and that should be equal to how much? You know that. So this should be equal to 9 by 24 into 2 pi, that is 3 pi by 4, because I was misquoting so far. Actually time gap for maximum to minimum frequency for both detectors was 9 seconds. So I did not remember it correctly, so please a little bit correction. So time gap was 9 seconds. So 9 seconds means what? So in 24 seconds that it's 2 pi radians, right? For 9 seconds that means this angle must be 3 pi by 4. Okay, so A naught to A naught prime, this time is this angle is 3 pi by 4. Okay, and similarly for AI O AI prime, this angle is also 3 pi by 4 according to this calculation. All right. Now okay, now look at the DI. What is DI? This is this distance ODN is DI. So DI becomes now R cos alpha. R is the radius of the circle, so this is R cos alpha. Okay, and R we have already found out 300 meters, so DI comes out to be 115 meters. Similarly DO, if you see, this angle is 90 degree and this distance OD out is DO. So and this angle is alpha O, which is also equal to alpha I, and we can simply write this as alpha we have already found out twice alpha, so we can find out this distance DO as R upon cos alpha naught, and that is 784 meters. All right, so these two things we have found. Now okay, now for what is, so this is your theta is this angle. Okay, so theta is the angle between what this angle, okay, DNO and D out, this is your theta. Okay, and this is your A naught, and so A naught to AI, if we consider A naught to AI, so that is peak of the outside detector to the peak of the inside detector. That angle is how much? That angle becomes this whole angle is theta plus alpha naught, and if you subtract alpha I, so that becomes the angle A naught O and AI. Okay, and this time was 4 seconds, that I was trying to recall. So it is peak of one to peak of other, that was 4 seconds, and peak to valley was 9 seconds. Okay, so peak to peak was 4 seconds. So we can say that now what is the time? Let us say we start our clock when the source was at A naught. So at what time will the signal from emitted from here reach D out? So that time will be equal to what? A naught D out distance divided by C. So this is the time in the clock, A naught D out divided by C, when the outside detector registers a maximum. Okay, now our clock is proceeding ahead, and by the time our source reaches AI, how much time has elapsed? That is equal to this angle A naught O AI angle divided by omega. And how much is A naught O AI? This angle is nothing but theta plus alpha naught minus alpha I divided by omega. This is the time that elapses. Okay, and this much is the time in our clock already, and after the source has reached here, there is some further time lag for sound to reach emitted on AI to reach the DN, and that will be how much time? That will be equal to AIDN, this distance AIDN divided by C. So when the detector, inside detector is registering a maximum, the time in the clock is this, theta plus alpha naught minus alpha by omega plus AIDN by C. This is the time registered in the clock when inside detector is registering a maximum. And the outside time, I said, that is A naught D out by C, because that's the time of travel for sound for A naught to D out. Okay. So time differences, we subtract these two times, and this is 4 seconds. Okay, peak to peak for two different detectors, that was 4 seconds. And alpha naught is same as alpha I, so these two cancel out, and if we simplify this comes out to be theta by omega plus R sin alpha I by C. So AIDN, you can see AI and DN, this distance is R sin alpha I, simply you can see from this right triangle. Okay, and A naught D out by C, this becomes D naught sin alpha naught by C. Okay, this distance is D naught, and sin alpha naught makes A naught D out, this divided by C, that's the time. Okay, so this is the time difference between the two maximas from peak of the detector 1 to peak of the detector 2. This is the time difference, which is 4 seconds, and this gives us a nice equation in theta. If you solve this equation, you get theta is equal to 1.4 radians. All right. And now once you have theta, then rest of the job is very easy. Then you just need to find D in to D out. You can just use cosine rule. So this is OD out square plus OD in square and minus 2 OD out OD in into cos of theta. So that's what we have done. So OD in square plus OD out square plus 2 OD in OD out cos of this theta, we have calculated 1.4 radians, and that gives you capital D, which is the distance between the two detectors, D in to D out. That is, if you calculate putting the value, it comes out to 773 meters. All right. So that was our analysis for INPHO 2020 question number 4, and I hope all of you did like this video. And if you did like this video, please remember to subscribe to my channel if you have not already subscribed, and please share it with your friends, or if you're a teacher, you can share it with your students, and the students can share it with your peer group, whoever are preparing for Olympiads or maybe IITJ Advanced, whomever you think that this will be useful. Please share it with them, and please do give it a thumbs up. That's all for this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you.